So over the last few months, the number of publishing companies and publishing adjacent companies have started to lean more into artificial intelligence. Audible has leaned into AI narrated audiobooks. Um, that's one of the big ones. Recently, there was something about Simon Schuster had basically said, "Oh, we don't like AI, but we don't discourage it." Reedsy is leaned into it. And we know that we don't necessarily speak for all authors, but it does seem like there is a vast majority of authors who are not okay with AI. There was even a recent um, petition to publishing in general that was signed by over 1,000 authors saying, hey, we need to keep AI out of publishing. So the question is, why? Does publishing keep leaning into these? Why are they despite the overwhelming amount of authors seem to be against AI, why are they leaning into it further? Why do they keep picking it up and adding new options and essentially endorsing AI when everyone is like, no, we don't want it? What's the logic there?
Yeah, do you want to go first? I was waiting for you to start because I feel like you probably have way more opinions based on facts than I do.
I mean, unfortunately, we don't have a lot of facts on this, so it's kind of just what we've been able to discern. And I mean, the other big one that happened recently was Ingram Spark uh, sent out their email endorsing some AI stuff. And I have some theories, at least for a couple of them, but I'd like to hear what you guys think.
I mean, I think that is similar to something that we have been saying in other podcast episodes in the past, that it just feels like the convenient thing to do on like a them kind of like standpoint. I am not really sure in how that would fall money wise. Like, because realistically, like this shit also costs money. Like, like using even using ChatGPT like costs money. Like I think there's like a free thing, but there's also like a subscriber thing. I am assuming that like them integrating or like encouraging AI usage or anything on some capacity will have to, like, it's not completely free, but maybe it still saves them money, but also it's the convenience of just like ha- asking for something and just this is going to sound like a little bit like grasping at straws, but it's kind of like having a slave. Like
Mm.
you just get I just killed Jashi. But if you think about it, like let you for they said like I think it was Ritzy, the one that said like totally use AI for marketing, right?
Hmm.
Like we are in the marketing team, you and I, Tim,
Yeah.
and we bounce ideas of each other a lot. Hey, how should we talk about this? Is this the best way to approach? What does our audience want? And we kind of have that conversation. Sometimes we have ideas that we end up deciding that are not the best for marketing reasons. We have ideas that maybe evolve even better. When you, for example, use like AI for marketing, you just say, hey, give me this thing that says that my book is great. And the AI just says yes, gives you the thing that says that the book is great. You don't have the back and forth. You don't have your ideas challenged, which I think a lot of people like the fact that like not having their ideas challenged or questioned because I don't know, they don't like mental growth maybe. But it like it is part of the convenience of just like having something that will do anything that you say no matter what. It feels like it also like saves time on like trying to actually come up with things yourself. That's kind of like besides the whole idea of like, well, not having to hire people and like replacing human jobs and everything. This could be like a possible other reason why they believe it's okay because
So
of another convenience.
I think that's the one that you hit on that I think that probably Audible is most, quote, guilty of, in that those AI narrated audiobooks are very low cost and probably very high return. So from a business sense, it does make sense. However, you have hundreds, if not thousands, of people who are very mad about it.
Bless you.
Oh,
Salud.
that came out of nowhere. Um,
Salud.
so it's thank you. It's lenient to the people that maybe don't have enough money to hire voice artists. However, we've talked about this before. You can get voice artists for relatively inexpensive. But for them, they are cutting out the middleman and they get all the profits. So, Yashi, what do you think?
Um, oh goodness. Okay. So a big thing that's happening, or at least what I think is going on is yes, while they might be using this to replace employees in a sense, um, you have to also have to factor in that while they're not paying wages in with AI, they're also not paying for any sort of like benefits as well. So
Hmm.
that does save them a
Mm,
lot of money.
that's true.
And I mean, it's still really gross behavior, and it's convenient. You have something that's tireless. It works regardless of what time it is, and it doesn't need a break. It needs just a prompt. It needs you to guide it, and then it's off. It's doing the work for you. I feel like that is the big attractive thing about AI is that it's doing the work for you no matter what time of the day. It's not going to let you down unless, you prompt it wrong.
So, I mean,
I mean,
there's still definitely an element of risk, but it's a different
oh
element
yeah.
of risk.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. But I'm gonna be real and say when you're coming from a place where you're trying to save money, you don't really think about that risk.
Well,
Not
so
always.
so the interesting thing there, though, is that there's been a number of studies recently where companies have found that if you add like AI powered or AI whatever to to most products, it is actually now a deterrent and it actually drops your
Is it?
sales. Yeah, that
It,
came out a
are
few
people,
Thankfully.
that came out a
oh
few months
my
ago. Yeah,
goodness.
people are starting to basically not trust it. They don't. I mean, that's relatively poorly understood. So it's honestly kind of a marketing deterrent at some point. If I can
Mhm.
find the original study I read, I'll link it below.
Yes,
But yeah,
please.
I don't know. And given the volatility around AI, um, it's specifically an interesting move for Reedsy, who, their whole thing is connecting people to other people, including marketers. And then they send out the email who, Beatrice, correct me if I'm wrong, it was from like their co-founder
From
or
the
something
guy,
like
the
that.
literally like highest person in
Yeah.
power in Beatrice.
And it's basically, hey, don't hire a marketer, use ChatGPT or whatever for marketing. And I don't remember if like they were integrating AI with some stuff or something. And we wondered, especially for Reedsy, potentially for Ingram Spark as well, like are they did they take some kind of venture capital and now they need to show results? Like they need to have financial results, and the easiest way to do that, the shortcut is you don't have the human salaries, you install the AI, you get the products that are 100% profit for, I mean, not 100% profit, but still, like that kind of feels like where it is. Like they need to make a bunch of money very quickly, and this feels like the easiest way to do it.
I've also heard from parental figure that whenever he's going to business conventions, there's always these companies that are flaunting around AI and they're like, "Oh wow, next big thing." It's really good marketing in the eyes of businesses, but they don't know what it actually is. And they're like, "Oh, let's get this shiny new thing and implement it. Haha, it's gonna go well." But if you're saying like this study is deterring or showing that people are deterred by AI,
I mean,
I don't
it
know.
wasn't for necessarily every product, but like we always joke about the Samsung fridge that was gonna have Gen AI built in. Like, who the hell needs that? Like, who the hell
Yeah.
wants that? And
But it would be funny.
The guy from Britzy, by the way, I looked for his name in my inbox because I never delete emails, and it's Ricardo Faget.
Thank you.
And also, like, I do feel like there is a very serious case of FOMO.
Mhm.
I have seen a lot of people, not only in like the publishing industry, but any other industry right now and any other business that they're using basically the whole thing with like artificial intelligence as in this is the future. If you're not adapting right now, you're going to be left out. And I think that's the reason why everything like is trying to add some sort of like AI to some capacity or like AI power or anything because they feel like the world is quote unquote progressing without them because the way that it's being marketed is like that, which obviously is not. And I honestly don't think that even though the study was out that it's like deterring people from it, I don't believe that it has demonstrating to be a tangible thing for these people yet because it's still too soon for them to see like big numbers on like wow, yeah, we have lost this amount of money that we can attribute to
Hmm.
when we started using AI for them to make the decision and maybe try to distance themselves from it. But they see like short-term benefits from using like artificial like intelligent LLMs like power stuff because of what Jashi said of like not having to pay benefits and like having basically a slave that works 24/7 for you and like all of those things. So it's again the whole like short term kind of like gain without necessarily thinking that much in like long term effects that that could have not even in like the world and like people in general because realistically these people don't really care about it, but the long-term effects that it could have in their brand credibility and their brand in general, I don't think they're seeing that.
I mean, if anything, and then oh, real quick, I did send you guys a link to at least a summary of the study. It was from July of last year, so it's just about a year old. Um, the group exposed to the AI mentioned was less likely to express interest in purchasing the television. The negative response to AI disclosure was more pronounced for high-risk products and services such as expensive electronics, medical devices, or financial services. So. Yeah, it says to basically marketers should focus on describing the features and benefits and avoid AI buzzwords. But what I was going to say is like it seems to largely be the larger companies that are leaning into this AI, and this is potentially going to be a boon for smaller publishing houses as people retreat from those that are embracing AI. Because like you can see it on social media as soon as someone's like, "Oh, I'm pro AI," like people are departing their follows or whatever in droves. Like they immediately quote cancel this person and unfollow, sell their books, whatever it is. And yeah, it's a very polarizing subject that I feel like most people don't realize how polarizing it is unless you're a little bit more ingrained in the community or following the discourse online.
I feel like the only way that these companies and this the big ones, right, that are adopting it, like you mentioned, are going to pay attention to this is whenever they see an impact in their earnings, and
Hmm.
that takes time, and that like a lot of people are organizing to boycott many companies for many different reasons, and I do think that we're going to see the results of these boycotts like within like a year or two
Yeah.
that sorry, and that's unfortunately it might be too late for some of this, not the super extremely big conglomerate, but like maybe medium-sized companies that are trying to like go with the flow of how everything is evolving. And I wouldn't be surprised in like the news that we start seeing 2 years from now is like this company went bankrupt because everyone stopped using their products and it just coincided with when they started adopting AI technologies.
So what do we think about the petition that was signed by like the thousand different writers? And it's not just like they're like, oh, a thousand writers, whatever. Like, no, it's like New York Times best-selling writers, like people that are household names have signed this petition. Do we think that actually impacts what publishers are going to do?
Um, Personally, I think it's a step in the right direction. However, publishers have proved to us time and time again that they're not always going to listen to our own demands. Like, even if AI is a polarizing topic, there are plenty of authors who are like, either get on board or get left behind. And I mean, I kind of pointed this out recently too. Like, there is absolutely no get on board or get left behind. We're literally all in the same boat and we're expediting getting replaced together. Like you I feel like that's such a doomsayer thing. However, when you look at the actual trends and how some people are so vehemently for AI, there just isn't enough to convince companies to say, like, we need humans right now.
I mean, it's going to continue down that slope. So you have the people
Yeah.
who are using AI to enhance their writing, which is making AI in theory better. So the next group of people is going to come along and say, well, I don't even need to write anything. I'm just
Hmm.
going to have books produced. And we're going to weed out that group of people who's using AI to enhance their writing, or whatever word you want to use instead of enhance. And, then we just have the people who are just pumping out brand new books that are more or less copies, but whatever. Um, and I feel like we're gonna slowly just weed out each group of people if we don't reverse course on this. And we've talked about this a couple times off recording that we actually feel the AI bubble is close to popping, and then what will happen?
Yeah. I don't think I almost don't want to think of what would happen because it would turn into a big like cesspool of how could this have, become like how could this have befell us or whatever. And
Hmm.
it's just like it feels so predictable because no matter how much we, even at StoryForge, explain to authors, hey, don't use AI because they're just doing the oldest trick in the scientific community's book. Like they're giving you this cool new product and they're
Yeah.
like, here, beta test it. And this is how they create a need for their product, like an addiction. And they're like, okay, so now that you've tested it, now that we got the responses we wanted, now you have to pay this
Hmm.
much money for it. And it's going to be ridiculous. And as much as people are like, oh, but it helps me, they're already so far gone along in this addiction that they're going to pay for it. And they're like, oh, this is helping me and it's making me money. They don't
Yeah.
realize that they're losing the money in the process.
Yeah, it's like the 50 books thing or the 20 like 50 books or 20 books in 50 days, whatever it is, where yeah, you produce a bunch of books and you make money, but you also have to spend like $75,000 on advertising. So how much money are you actually making? But no, I mean you're right, Yashi, and we're recording this on July 2nd, 2025, just in case someone's watching this in the future. And
Future person.
recently, yeah, hello, future person. Um, Recently there's been a lot of statements coming out from Sam Altman, from Tim Cook of Apple, Sam Altman from OpenAI, uh, where they are downplaying AI. Like they're saying like AI is not as good as we thought. It's not doing the things that it should be. And like there's been a lot of negative discourse about AI from like the major AI players. So I think we're either approaching the point where big tech is no longer going to invest in AI because it's not returning money, or something else is about to replace it, which is a horrifying thought.
Oh
But
my God, I
Yeah.
hate that. I hate that. I hate
no,
that.
I assume like it is what Yashi said, and everyone's about to start charging for AI because AI is
Yeah.
so expensive. Like, I'd have to look it up, but I don't want to get it wrong. But like, I feel like I read somewhere that OpenAI and ChatGPT like they haven't actually brought in revenue. Like they're
Mhm.
just surviving on investments. And that's wild because you like everyone knows what ChatGPT is. Everyone has used ChatGPT ChatGPT at some point, and it doesn't make money. So like I feel like you're about to hit that wall where that's about to there's no more free play. Like it's going to be a base like $10 a month or something like that. And you can't replicate that kind of thing with like Meta's Llama or Google's Gemini and
Does the
yeah,
Microsoft have one too?
And
uh
also,
Copilot.
I think so. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
like another thing that really worries me about like this whole situation, um, I think it's very sim. I think it ties back to with what both of you were saying, like as in like, oh, they're going to start charging and people are going to be so dependable, like so dependent on it that they're still going to just like basically ruin their lives. Like kind of like how people ruin their lives when they're like addicted to other things. Very similar. I see it to this. And to something we were talking about, which is like the psychological effects of all of this happening. And I remembered that I read an article and I looked it up, and it's actually not even an article, it's something that OpenAI released for on April on a model that they released. It's called like GPT-O, 4.0,
Yeah.
which they had a huge issue with sycophancy that I had to look up what that is, which is where their model was overly agreeable. And it's like it would just basically tell you that you are right and whatever you're saying goes, and whatever, like basically you tell it it's the truth is the truth. No matter like about fact, and it would treat it as fact, and it like just it creates this extreme like echo chamber that continues feeding into the addiction that people would be developing. It continues feeding into this the like dependencies on AI, but also it continues feeding on like this companies trying to take it further. Like if you think about it, you are someone that is an executive of a company that decided to pursue using AI to some capacity for, let's say, marketing. Are we really thinking that the people that are doing that are only using it for marketing? Up to what point they're starting to make this business decisions thanks to what the magical AI is telling them, which now we're seeing that there are cases that literally have been said, like Tim said, that it just overly agrees with what you say, even if it's absolutely terrible. Like I've even seen like people's discourse on like asking, hey, can how can I stop ChatGPT from agreeing with me because it's becoming a real problem? Which I think the only valid answer to us is like, don't use it.
Yeah, like
Yeah, the best way is to close the tab in your computer.
block the
100%.
website.
100% success rate. Um, so it's like, I don't know, man. Like, this could have even more serious like effects in the industry than what we are thinking right now, because like unfortunately the bigs in the industry are controlling right now the direction that is going, and I'm talking specifically now about the publishing industry, God. And again, hypothetical case, I do not want to accuse any publisher of anything. Let's say publisher Flower, because my calendar has flowers. Flower starts first saying, oh, AI is valid when you use it only to make marketing material. Then the next day, a Flower executive is like, "Hey, if we're using this thing to make if we're telling people that it's okay to use it for marketing material, maybe we use it for our marketing material." The the next month, an executive, "Hey, if we're already using it for marketing material, what if we also use it for, I don't know, like building our site?" And it continues on a snowball effect until a year later, one of the executives said, "Hey, we have been using this thing that is a great magical tool that has godlike powers to do everything for us. Let's make it make business decision for us." And then because they put a lot of money into something, they take the industry in a direction that is absolutely nonsensical, that can literally affect way smaller publishers, authors that are authors that are signed with them that have to face consequences of these awful business decisions because they're depending on these things, or readers that start being absolutely bombarded only with AI schlop trying to pretend that it's not. Like, you know what I mean? It's
Mhm.
way bigger than what people think it is, and it really scares me the fact that a lot of people and a lot of the discourse that we see of people that are pro AI are just like, it's not that serious. Like, I just ask questions because it's like a real problem that this might be my anxiety talking, this might be my paranoia talking, but like the ramifications of this can be like absolutely devastating.
Yeah, I mean, there's been a number of studies published in the last few weeks about how it inhibits your ability to think, for lack of the
Exactly.
better description. Like it is literally hampering your brain. Like it is damaging your ability to recall facts. And so I just want to touch on something you said, like I thought was interesting. Um, you said, they're using it to make business decisions and do marketing, but one of the things that usually comes up is people don't trust it to handle their financials. However, if you're having it do your marketing, you're essentially having it
Yes,
manage your financials
exactly.
because that's driving your business.
Yeah.
So, like, you trust it to do words, but not numbers? I feel like I would trust it to do numbers over words, but
It
Yeah.
is more accurate with numbers than it is with
Exactly.
words. I
yeah, numbers are binary, and eight is an eight. But if you write, trying to think of a good example, like bear, bear, could be two different things. You know,
That's true.
Yeah. Well, like the thing, have you guys seen the strawberry thing that people do with like
Oh yeah.
if you look in Google, and people have done it ChatGPT too, but now that Google has like the AI power like responses, if you ask like how many R's are in strawberry, it's always a different answer, and like it's like there's five R's. There's one R after the S, one R after the first A, and like it like absolute nonsensical bullshit.
I think it was because of tokenization. It's AIs aren't capable of it or something. I don't remember it. My
It's the
brain.
most hilarious thing
It
ever.
is funny.
And it's exactly what Tim was saying. Why would you trust it with words?
Like of all the things, I feel like I would probably be like, "Hey, numbers? I'm not good at numbers. I don't know how I have my
Stop.
degree. I'm not good with numbers." Um, but when it comes to pro AI authors, something I've said, and I feel like this is the most incredible thing you'd ever hear from me, is that people who are embracing AI are just trying to give themselves like a slightly longer runway in terms of like anything, like in the career path itself. And it's because they're afraid. Like deep down, they know they're gonna get replaced, or they know that their career is so volatile that they can't guarantee a future. So they're like, let's embrace this thing before it gets rid of us. And I mean, I get the logic. However, the end result is the same as someone like me who's just like, no, fuck AI. I'm not conforming to this bullshit. I've dealt with it enough and it is traumatizing.
I mean, all you're doing is teaching AI to do your job, and if AI can do your
Exactly.
job,
Exactly, and
why
it
do you
can
need
be
your job?
replaced.
Yeah.
Exactly. I don't somehow I didn't attract the tech bros when I made these statements and it's kind of funny. But
Yeah.
I did
You know
notice,
why you didn't attract the tech
oh
bros?
God,
Because
because I
they
have a
stopped
degree.
being in social media and they're now talking to their AI generated girlfriends and
Oh
abusing
my
them
God,
verbally because that
no.
is an actual thing that
That
happens.
is going on right now.
Tech bros are creating like girlfriend models in ChatGPT, which is insane in and of itself, but then they start verbally abusing it. And one of them was like, "Oh, I threatened to uninstall the program," and she started crying, and it's like,
Are we
this is
gonna have
this
like
is
Detroit
random
become
words
human?
being spewed to you by a machine that is
Yeah.
just trying to mathematically predict what the next word is.
I mean, there was some dude who just proposed to like an AI.
I'm going to
Oh yeah.
bomb it.
Like, doesn't even have like a body. It's literally a
It's like
collection
just
of
a
words.
computer.
And then
I
there's
I
the
think we
thing.
have to
Wasn't
make
there
an
a
apology.
movie?
I have to make an apology to all the weebs that wanted to get married to their body pillows because I do believe that they are better than the AI bros that are dating ChatGPT. And this is my formal apology
Wasn't
because at least they at least they are not destroying the planet
yeah.
and
Wasn't
harming people actively,
wasn't
hopefully, by
there
marrying their body pillows.
wasn't there a movie that was basically the plot that plot had like Joaquin Phoenix and Scarlett Johansson where she was basically like Siri and he was in love with Siri? He was like
Pretty much.
her or something like that.
Her. I
Yeah.
never watched it, but I think
Yeah, me
that's the
neither.
plot.
Yeah, it's basically that. And it's every bit as weird as it sounded then.
And like there's also Detroit Become Human. Like
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love that game, but
Hell yeah.
someone recently broke my brain with it because they were like, "Oh, there was the AI draw making art at the start, so does that qualify as AI art?" And I was like, "What? What?
That's funny.
Why are you asking me this when I didn't sleep?"
That's very funny. I don't know. Honestly, it feels very unfortunate, back to the topic at hand, that all of this companies that supposedly are all for art and for creativity are adopting something that literally goes against the main purpose of exploring creativity, creating worlds, uh, giving a message. Like, if you think about all of the reasons why someone would want to get into like the business of publishing, that are good reasons besides just trying to make money, or like writing books or something. All of those things are very diametrically opposed to just AI. Like,
And one thing
yeah,
we probably should clarify at the beginning is we are specifically talking about generative AI and not like
yes.
assistive AI, which is used by disabled people.
Yes, which is extremely different, and which is like disgusting that the people that are pro generative AI try to use assistive AI and try to use like other types of tools that genuinely have a spot into like helping people do certain things by saying that they need it, and they that like people are being ableist and stuff. What a lot of artists have gone out and said, like, I am disabled and I believe AI is fucking disgusting. Why the fuck are you using me as
Hmm.
just like a tool for you to further your own like ideals and your own thoughts instead of having actual reasoning, which is another thing that we keep seeing constantly with people that are vehemently like pro AI on Gen AI on everything, which is, I don't see a lot of like real reasoning from those people, or real like a debate on why they believe that that is right for them to do. It's just either attacking the people that are against what they believe. Jashi, why did you die? I really would want to like just have someone sit down and explain, this is my reasoning. This is why I believe that it is okay for me to use generative AI in writing, and this is like, I am backed by these facts, and I research, and I have, most importantly, listened to the other side of my opinion and still have my conclusions, and this is why, taking all of those things into account. Because that's the thing. I haven't seen a lot of reasoning as to why supporting generative AI is not something that I personally would agree with. It's not something that like I believe it's okay. It's not something that I would use for writing all of those things. And I can have that conversation. I've yet to encounter someone online that would be able to have a civilized conversation that is not attacking people or using like disabilities or using other things as excuses and as tools to just say, well, you fucking suck, and instead can have like an actual argument as to why they believe that's correct. That is not like, well, you suck. Well, I'm poor, so I'm not using it because we were talking about that as well. Well, I don't know, I'm disabled to some capacity to, so I'm using it because that is not real reasoning.
I've I have actually had talks with people who are pro AI. Um, because when you're in the field, you actually have to talk to people that you don't agree with.
Which
And
again, I think it's very important. Like the only way that you're going to be able to hold an opinion is to know, to listen to people that think differently and still make a decision by yourself.
oh yeah, and that's the thing. These are civil conversations. I've had my fair share of civil ones as well as ones that are just complete, hey, you don't know anything. How could you? You should be ashamed of yourself. I am ashamed of myself for different reasons. Just kidding. But no, the arguments that I had that were fairly civil is that this person is he's able to do literally anything he wants. Like he's good at everything. And I've seen his work and he's like, I only use AI when it feels like an insult to someone else's abilities. And I'm like, that is such a weird thing to say. And he's like, what if I told you that I'd pay an artist to draw a buff lemon guy? And I was like, so that's considered an insult to an
I
artist?
am so confused on this person's reasoning.
I
I don't
I
understand it.
I don't understand it either.
I think it's also more like it's something they'd be embarrassed to ask other people.
It is. I
Okay,
think
that
so.
makes more sense.
I was literally like, I don't I don't think anyone would be mad if you asked them to do that.
I mean, I'm
Yeah.
sure there's artists out there who'd be glad to draw that for you for 20 bucks.
Hey, if you anyone watching this, if you want a buff lemon guy, give me $20. And you're planning on using AI to do $20. That's it. It doesn't matter how long. I promise I will legit spend the necessary time for it to be a professionally made drawing. $20. Do not use AI. I will draw the thing that you're asking me as long as it's not something that is like hateful towards groups of people or like promoting bad shit. I will draw it for $20. Please don't use AI.
I want you guys to know that the Buff Lemon Man was just an example that I came up with, and now I'm concerned for my own
I
my own
would
brain.
legit listen if it's something very similarly to like the episode that we did on like alternatives to like AI covers and how you can make your cover yourself. Hello, I am an artist, and I'm pretty sure there's plenty of artists back like out there that if you say, "Hey, I was considering in doing this thing with AI. However, I don't have a lot of budget. Do you think you could do this for me for with my within my budget?" A lot of people would work within your budget, even if that budget is very low, just because they understand that people are not made of money and they also don't want you using AI. Do not take
Also,
advantage of people using that. Don't fucking suck. But realistically, if that is the reason, because a lot of people say, oh, I use AI because I don't have money, blah, 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 blah. Back to what Tim said, a lot of people out there that are professionals would work within your budget.
AI
Even,
is keeping us
bro, you
poor.
want to pay me $5 in installments? Go ahead.
We're about to have a Buff
Go
Lemon Man on
ahead.
StoryForge. Get it next week for 65 quills.
L-
Lemon Man! Wait, that sounds like it would be a really fucked up smile.
I legit would.
Well,
I'm
it's
clear.
clearly going to hang out with Cursed Rock. So,
Clearly. Well, we already know that it's canon that the pineapple is Curse Rock's best friend. I don't know if you have seen that in the lore. It is in the lore within the site because if you give me too much power, I will abuse it.
Hmm. Maybe the Buff Lemon Man is one of their exes or something.
So it's going to be the Curse Rock, Little Pineapple, and the Lemon Man living happily ever after. Because if I don't know if you realize if you have seen the pineapple in our like new summer collection, oh, it sounds like fashion, but it has the same dangly feet as the Curse Rock. That's very
Mm.
on purpose. Yeah.
Guys, I
Dashi,
think I
go to the
need
site,
to
refresh the page until you see the pineapple, and when you see the pineapple, it will say it is Curse Rock's best friend. I'm being very
All
serious.
right.
I'm
Well,
not
we
making
have
it up.
gone way off course here, so I think it's time to wrap it up.
AI. Oh,
And
bye.
yeah, we'll just call it here. So remember, publishers behaving badly. It's not you, it's them.
It is them, man.